All right, welcome everyone. We are on chapter 14. Communication is overrated. I really want to hear what you guys think about this because this is something that I feel like every single wedding, this is the advice they give. Yeah, welcome, right on time. We're just starting. So most weddings, this is the advice they give to the couple. Communication, make sure you compromise and all of that. So today we're going to put all those myths to rest because when you're using the intimacy skills, that you don't need to compromise. Your husband does his job, which is to make you happy. You do your job, which is stating your desire. And naturally, we are in flow. Our energies are in flow. So there's no need to compromise. We're just like flow naturally, and there's communication and peace happening. In every marriage more than a week old, there are grounds for divorce. The trick is to find and continue to find grounds for marriage. One word that says it all. Before I learned the intimacy skills, I didn't think of myself as a nag. Looking back, Looking back, though, I often said the same things over and over, which is the very definition of nagging. So, yeah, I was a nag. I felt justified in doing this because I didn't think my husband was listening to me. I believed that if I delivered my message in a slightly different way, if I got him to really understand the urgency or the importance, he would do what I wanted. Naturally, that never worked. That's because what I was really doing was trying to control his actions. Now, communicating with my husband means chatting about the movie we saw together or making plans for the weekend, not the dreaded we have to talk conversations I used to rope him into. This is always astonishing to my coaching students at first because they're also in the habit of trying to talk their way into having their husband see their perspective. How many of us say he doesn't listen? We need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. And where does that get us? Right? Doing the same thing, getting the same results. And we're expecting different results, which is the definition of insanity. These days, I'm confident that I can say what I mean in one sentence or sometimes just a single word. And I no longer repeat myself like a trained parrot. In some ways, I say much less than I did before, and that has helped a lot. Saying less has led to greater communication in that my husband understands me much better. I heard about communication being key to a good marriage so often that I was constantly trying to get John to talk to me more. And I talked more often too. I figured I just needed to talk until he saw things my way. I used the have good communication advice as a license to keep talking until John was a beaten down pulp who didn't dare disagree with me. That wasn't exactly bringing us closer together. But today, I know that talking less and choosing among my real thoughts, the ones that pertain to me and all that concerns me, will be what gets me the connection and passion that I crave. Minimum drama requirements. I recently asked one of my coaches if she and her husband would be willing to participate in a TV show. The producers wanted to film the interactions in a home where the wife was practicing the intimacy skills. My coach agreed to be on the show, but she said, wow, they're really going to think this is boring because there's very little conflict in our house anymore. That's my experience too. There's just not much to argue about once you learn these skills and give up the need to control everything. Once you know how to advocate for your desires and your feelings, and you're doing it in a respectful way to a man who loves you and wants you to be happy, the drama vanishes. So when we believe that he really loves me and he wants to make me happy, literally he's in this world to make me happy, we create that self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if I believe that he's a mean manipulative guy and he hates me and he just out to get me, that's the relationship that I'm going to create. But if I believe that underneath everything he's good inside, he's a good guy and he's here to make me happy, he really wants to make me happy, that's exactly what I'm going to create for myself. So we always try to see the premise. I have a good guy and he wants to make me happy. As long as I'm respectful to him, he doesn't have the need to defend himself. And when he's not in a state of defending himself, he's going to fulfill my needs and my desires. Most of the time, our marriage is really peaceful, so I have to find my drama elsewhere. So she said, like, if you into drama, like watch a movie or like go play a game or whatever, like you don't need it at home. Because some people are just like, if you grew up around drama and your life with your husband is like peaceful, it's like boring. You're like, something's missing here because you know, if we grew up around all of that stuff going on, we kind of like crave it because it's part of our pattern, it's part of our routine. Like we need drama in our life, even though it's painful. But it's okay. So, find drama elsewhere in a healthy way. You can still get a dose of drama, but like you don't need to create it in your life and in your marriage. The end of compromising. Your husband really wants you to be happy. When you're happy, he feels successful as a husband and as a man. That's where his confidence comes from, making us happy. But he can't make us happy if we're just like complaining and telling him what to do and controlling him. He's gonna be he's gonna put a defense shield. He's just gonna be defending himself. No matter how bad things are in the relationship, your husband's desire to make you happy is alive and well. If it doesn't seem like that right now,
Tomorrow, can you wear something for me?
someone is. So no matter how bad things are in the relationship, your husband's desire to make you happy is alive and well. If it doesn't seem like that right now, that's because when you're in a conflict or a cold war, your husband's need to defend himself will be higher than his drive to please you. But as soon as he feels respected again, he'll be looking for any chance to delight you. So again, that aspect of teshuva, as long as we are respectful again and we come back to who we really are, to our neshama, his desire to make us happy, his defense shield falls, respect up, defense shield down, and his desire to make us happy is there again. The more he knows about what will make you happy, the easier it will be for him to feel successful as a husband. That's why it's so important for you to know your desires and express them clearly. If your husband knows how to make you happy, he can do something about it. And then you're both happy. That's why it's important to take your own happiness seriously. If mama's not happy, nobody's happy. You know how they say happy wife, happy life? Our ability to be happy, it influences everyone in our family. When we're happy and light and that girl of fun and light, like everyone in our family benefits from that. From our husband to our kids to just it elevates the vibration in the whole entire family. My job in my relationship, therefore, is to know what I want. My feelings help point the way to what I desire. So I'm always asking myself, ladies, this is important. It's on page 127. How do I feel? What do I want? Write that down. Whenever we're feeling a certain way, whenever we're feeling like something's off, just instead of going on his paper and like what he didn't do for me or what I need him to do to make me feel okay inside, I can get curious and solve my own problem and stay on my own paper by asking, how do I feel and what do I want? Once I know the answers to those questions, I express them as clearly as I can. So I keep it on I. I feel bored. I want to go to the beach, And this way he knows my desire. Without Okay, once I know the answers to those questions, I express them as clearly as I can without attaching any expectation, meaning I'm bored, I would love to go to the beach. And without attaching an expectation, just letting him know this is what I want, or I'm hungry, I would love to go out to eat. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, we don't have anything at home, I'm so tired, I'm this, I'm that, just, make it as clear and as easy for him to make you happy as possible. a complaint is just a lazy desire. So try to figure out, what do I want? How do I feel? What do I want? So she says, if her husband John sees a chance to make me happy, he takes it, which is a win-win. I don't need to control anything because John's got my back. In addition to everyone being happier this way, it has completely changed the way we negotiate. As long as I'm focused on my own emotions and yearnings and I'm respecting his thinking, we can negotiate practically anything together without compromising. So here she gives an example. Here's what I mean. We bought our home in Southern California in 2007, just before the financial collapse. Suddenly, our house was worth less than we owed on it, and the payments felt high because our income and investments went down at the same time. My husband was very concerned. He said, looking at the numbers, I think we should sell the house and downsize so we can save money. My first reaction was to feel sad. I said, I hear you. And if that's what you think is best, I'm willing to do that. And I would really like to stay in the house. I love it here. So I said and instead of but, because I wanted to honor both his thinking and my feelings at the same time. So she said, I hear you. He says, I think we should sell the house and downsize. So she was respectful. She validated him. She said, I hear you. And she stated her desire. She realized she felt sad. So she said, I hear you. And, I hear you. I trust what you think, that you do what you think is best. And she said, I'm willing to do that. And I would really like to stay in this house. I love it here. I said and instead of but, because I wanted to honor both his thinking and my feelings at the same time. So this is page 128 on top. I think this is also an important part to highlight. He took in what I said and went to think it over. When he brought it up again, he said, I think we can stay for a while longer. Let's see how things go. I didn't compromise, but neither did he. My desire influenced what he thought. After hearing what I wanted, he thought we should wait and see what unfolded. If he had come back and said, I think we should move, I would have gotten behind that because I knew he'd taken my happiness into consideration. That would have influenced what I thought about moving and made it seem like a better option for me. If I had said, I think it's best that we stay here because the market will go up again, and then we'll wish we would have had a completely different conversation. And by conversation, I mean argument. It would have been all about who was right and who was wrong instead. I didn't question his thinking or try to insist that mine was better. I just went with my authentic desire, which is in a different realm altogether from thoughts. So the men think and we trust their thinking, and we feel and we trust what we feel. We trust our desires. We try to figure out how do I feel? What do I want? And these are the energies that are in balance, the masculine and the feminine energy. We're not in contradiction of each other. When we're in our own energies, things flow. We don't have to argue. We had that conversation a few times over the following year. Oh, so she's saying, in my answer, I focused on two things: letting him know I respected his thinking and expressing my pure desire without manipulation or expectation. We had that conversation a few times over the following year. Each time his message was the same, and each time my message was the same. In the end, we stayed put. The economy rebounded, and we never stopped holding hands and snuggling. So the intimacy was still there. Not long after that, I told John that I wanted a new car. His response was, I don't think it's a good time. I'd like to wait until we have more cash on hand. While I was taking that in, he asked, why do you want a new car? I told him that the leather on our car seat had started cracking and was chafing the backs of my legs. That was my motivation for wanting a new car. Would seat covers fix that? He asked. Yeah, that would do it, I agreed. At that moment, my desire for a new car diminished. Because remember, our list of desires, sometimes our desires could be contradictory. Sometimes, like, we have a desire, and then if we really dig underneath it, like she said, I wanted a new car. And he asked her, why do you want a new car? So she said, the leather on the car is, chafing my legs. So then he came and he asked her, would seat covers help that? And then she thought about it. She's like, you know what? the seat covers are working. It solved my problem, and I don't need a new car right now. So her desire changed, and that's okay too. Yeah, that would do it, I agreed. At that moment, my desire for a new car diminished. He didn't think it was a good idea to get one, and he presented a perfectly good solution to my problem. That time, what he thought really influenced what I wanted. I didn't even want a new car anymore. I wanted seat covers. That's how we negotiate everything now. I never feel like we're compromising. I often hear that compromise is a big part of marriage, but that's just not my experience. I find that what he thinks colors what I want, and what I want colors what he thinks. When we each represent our own areas of strength, a solution emerges that we're both on board with. When John tells me what he thinks, I know he's taking my happiness into consideration because that's a big part of what makes him feel successful. If I'm clear on my desires and I let him know what they are, they serve as our North Star. He knows I trust what he thinks, so he can operate from the confidence of knowing that I have faith in him. In this way, we're both at our best. Communicating this way would have seemed like mystical sorcery to me before I learned the intimacy skills. It took me quite a while to figure out that I could negotiate like this in my relationship and not have any drama. But after all these years of enjoying the intimacy and peace we get from this approach, I can't imagine it any other way. How not to communicate. I watched a TV show that featured a couple seeking an investment funding for their product called The Elephant in the Room. The idea was that a woman could use a little stuffed elephant to let her husband know she was mad at him without saying anything. She could just put the elephant out, and when he got home, he would know she wanted to talk. This is so funny. What a terrible idea. Just uttering the words, we need to talk, is an intimacy killer because it's the same as saying, you're in trouble. Doesn't it sound like a mother-child type of relationship, right? Like, where's the intimacy in that? Your husband hears that as, I'm about to tell you everything that's wrong with you. And immediately he's on the defensive. So defensive up, there's no communication really happening because all he's going to be doing is like, I don't feel safe right now. I can't make her happy. Right now, I just need to defend myself. Forget about connection and intimacy. They have no chance of thriving when you make that kind of overture. No wife ever got happier from starting a conversation with, we need to talk. Seeing someone trying to create an entire product that would wordlessly destroy intimacy drove me batty. Fortunately, none of the investors on the show thought the product was a good idea either. One even said, I think if I saw the elephant, hold on. I think if I saw the elephant, when I walked in, I would turn around and go hang out at the local bar until I thought the thing had blown over. So like imagine like she created this thing, elephant in the room, like, okay, I'm not gonna tell my husband we need to talk. I'm gonna have this elephant, I'm gonna put it on the table, and he knows he's in trouble. The husband comes in, is like, oh, what does she want again? He sees the elephant, turns around, goes to the bar. Where's the intimacy? Where's the communication? He's just gonna be avoiding her. The moral of the story, saying we need to talk is communication you're better off without. Do this before you communicate. Helen and her husband Paul were on opposite work schedules while Helen was a relationship coach training student. One day they agreed to meet in the parking lot of a restaurant that was on his way to work and on her way home so they could see each other for a few minutes. Helen arrived first, and when she saw Paul driving up, she struck a sexy pose and waited for him to come over and give her a passionate kiss. Instead, Paul pecked her on the cheek. She encouraged him by saying, come on, kiss me like you mean it. But he still didn't. He just pecked her again and said, I don't want anyone to think you're having an affair. Let's just go inside. I can so relate to this. Like my husband will not hold my hand in public.
Hello, mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of women could do, especially like in like our religious
Right.
upbringing, whatever, like they just feel like, oh, it's not snoote, and we're like,
Yes,
come on, my
exactly.
husband, hold my
I
hand.
know.
So this is exactly what she's saying. She's like, come on, kiss me like you mean it. Um, So he's like, I don't want anyone to think you're having an affair. Let's just go inside. Helen was shocked. How can we be having an affair? We're married. Her husband said, but people don't know that. They might see you meeting a man in the parking lot and giving him a passionate big kiss and think that something fishy is going on. This is a small town, and I don't want anyone to think that about you. So do you see his heart message? Like his heart message is, I want to, like we could either see it as like, I want this thing and you're not giving me what I want and you're not loving me, or we can see the heart message, which is really, he's loving her in his own love language, which is like, I'm protecting you. I don't want anyone to think, you know, any less of you. Um, Helen was hurt. She wanted to enjoy that brief moment together, and she thought it was silly to worry about what other people might think, especially because she and Paul weren't doing anything wrong. They went inside and she let it go. They could enjoy their time together, making a deal with herself that if she was still upset later, she could bring it up then. When she got home, she relayed the story to the other woman in her relationship coach training class, explaining how weird and hurtful she thought Paul's behavior had been. One by one, fellow students who were her friends by that time weighed in with their support and thoughts. They acknowledged her disappointment. Sounds like you didn't feel desired. They brought in Paul's perspective. It seems like he's trying to protect you. They asked, did you have a certain expectation you were attached to? So like when we want something from him, do we have a certain expectation that we are attached to? When we're attached to a certain expectation, that's when we go into net, which is needless emotional turmoil. Like sometimes we're hurt and I'm like, am I hurt? What is the reason that I'm hurt? Can I see things from a different perspective? And sometimes just being around women who are and the like kind of on the same path and like on the growth mindset and are positive and they stand for your marriage, they will help you because when we're hurt, we see things from our emotional brain. We're not in our higher executive functioning brain. So sometimes just being around other women, they kind of bring us back into our executive brain from that emotional brain. So it's important just to have other women to talk through these things with who stand for your marriage. Um, so yeah, that's what they said to her. They said maybe he's a little more prudish about a public display of affection, but clearly the man is crazy about you and loves you to the ends of the earth. Is this incident worth bringing back to him if it will cost you your intimacy? By the next day, Helen had a totally new perspective. She told me, I can see now that Paul was just looking out for me. I was so fixated on wanting him to give me a big kiss and show me how attracted he is to me that I missed that piece and got my feelings hurt. But now I can see that he just wants to protect me, and that feels like love too. So she's controlling what she can. She's controlling her perspective. By delaying a conversation about the incident until she'd communicated with other like-minded women, Helen completely avoided needless emotional turmoil. 24 hours later, there wasn't much to say. Once she fortified herself with the perspective of women who support her happiness and her marriage, she felt complete. Where can I get girlfriends like that? So as Helen's story illustrates, it's normal to feel a sense of urgency when there's a breakdown in your relationship. Like when we're triggered, it's so normal to feel like, oh my God, that's it. I've been doing all these things and nothing is working. And like when we're in our emotional brain, there's no, like, we don't see all the good stuff. We just see like everything that's not working. So it's very important to not um, make big decisions from that space, to go to talk to your supportive girlfriends, to really like go back to the executive brain and then make decisions from that space. But it's very normal. It happens to everyone. It happens to Laura herself, who wrote the book and who, teaches all these skills. She always talks about how, no matter how much she knows, when she's in her emotional brain, all of her wisdom, all of her knowledge is shut off. And it's very important to kind of give ourselves that space and that time to come back to our executive brain. When you have other women to lean on who are standing for your marriage, being able to turn on them instead of your husband can bring just as much relief and better perspective with fewer potential pitfalls for your romance. I found it invaluable to talk to like-minded women early and often in support of my marriage. They hold me accountable for my part of what might seem like a conflict, but they can also serve as listeners if I just need to be heard. My husband can't be the be all end all because that is just too much pressure for one mere mortal man, especially with all the talking I like to do. So she also goes to she goes into the importance of talking to supported, growth-oriented women and not sharing your story or your conflict with people who don't stand for your marriage. Who, if you have a girlfriend who you come to and she tells you, oh, he's a loser, just get a divorce, da da da, but all these things, if you're already like in an emotional place and you're whatever, it could be a family member, a friend, whoever it is, if they're just pulling you lower, then that's not the person to go to and to talk to in this time of crisis. It's important to talk to somebody who's supportive, who will elevate you into your wisdom brain instead of going like more into deeper into the emotions and not having clarity. So basically, this is it for today. All right, ladies, I'm just going to stop the recording now, and then we can schmooze.